Hi, this is Chatterboxing. I'm Sean, and I'm going to talk in this video about the Kell Brook Errol Spence fight. I saw a video earlier by a bloke called Dream Chasing Boxing, American guy, talking about experience in this fight, saying that Kell Brook doesn't have much more experience than Errol Spence. I suppose that really depends on what you mean by much and how you interpret much, but nevertheless, I thought it was quite an interesting topic. And it's something that I've been wanting to talk about for a while, as well as Derek James and talking about records and stuff like that. So that kind of gave me I suppose the catalyst really for me to make this one now. I didn't get around to making it before. So okay, so does Kell Brook have much more experience than Errol Spence? Yes, basically. Um, People, from what I've seen, tend to focus a lot on certain things without really seeing the bigger picture. Now, a lot of people, because I was going through the comments section, the video itself, there's a lot of focus on the Sean Porter fight, as if that is the only thing really that we can class as experience. Now, I'm going to give you my reasons for why I think that Kell Brook is much more experienced than Errol Spence, and different things that he has experience in that Errol Spence doesn't. Um, First of all, Kell Brook has. Let's start with because we're talking about Sean Porter was the topic of that. Let's start with that. First of all, he's travelled to another country to take on an unbeaten champion at the time. So that's something that Errol Spence hasn't done. Now that's not a small thing to have done. To travel to the other side of the world to fight in a different time zone, different environment, out of your comfort zone against an unbeaten champion is something that Errol Spence hasn't done, and that is a big thing. Now, Kell Brook isn't technically an unbeaten champion. He doesn't have the momentum that Sean Porter had back then, but he is still unbeaten at welterweight, and he's just as formidable an opponent. So that's something. He's also been the underdog in a couple of fights. He was the underdog. He was a very big underdog in the Gennady Golovkin fight. Fair enough, he lost, but he's still been in a fight where he was the big underdog. He was the big underdog against Sean Porter. I remember people thought that Sean Porter was going to win. The overwhelming majority of people around the world thought Sean Porter was going to win, and from what I can remember, at least half the people in Britain thought that Sean Porter was going to win. So that's two things off the top of my head. Two quite important things. Errol Spence has never been an underdog in a fight. He's always fought against people where he was the clear favourite. Okay, what else? He's never been in a tough fight. Now, Kell Brook fought against Carson Jones, which was his toughest fight. Now, in terms of the opponent on paper, people can say that Sean Porter was his toughest fight. Well, he wasn't. It wasn't his toughest fight. Carson Jones, the first fight, was definitely his toughest fight. Got his nose broken like halfway through the fight and really had to dig deep to win that fight. Now, some people can say, who's Carson Jones? He's got a lot of losses on his record. Well, he had a lot of losses on his record basically from what I can remember, pretty much at the start of his career. Before he fought Kell Brook, he had I think 9 straight wins by knockout. Kell Brook didn't really prepare very well for that fight. He didn't really make the weight properly, and he kind of underestimated Carson Jones because he'd been just beating everyone pretty easily before then. So he's in a fight. He kind of run out of steam halfway through it against a very tough, very game opponent. And big Carson Jones is quite a lump as well. Now people are going to say, who the fuck is Carson Jones? Carson Jones is a good fighter. I tell you, he's good, he's tough, and he's got a real will to win. So fighting against someone like that, when you really got to tough it out, broken nose, and he's really putting it on you round after round. He stuck that out and he won the fight. He didn't back down in that. He didn't, try and look for a way out. He didn't slow down. Well, he might have physically slowed down a bit, but he never slowed down his attempt to win the fight. And he always was in it, fighting hard. And he went 12 rounds. Now, I've seen people use that against him. I don't understand that. I don't understand how you could use that against someone. And whether you think, oh, well, look, this is an example of him not doing very well in a fight. How is that a bad thing? I don't understand that. That happened, and that was a great learning process for him. So if you're saying that Errol Spence has that kind of experience, does he? I mean, I haven't seen all of Errol Spence's fights, but has he ever been in a fight like that where he's got his nose broken against a pretty tough opponent and then carried on for like 6 rounds and went on, toughed it out to win the fight? Does he have experience of that? I don't think so. I mean, has he even done 12 rounds before? Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if he even has. And if he has, it may be like, once, twice. To be honest with you, I don't know this for a fact, but I don't even think that he's gone 12 rounds. So, yeah, I mean, off the top of my head, those are three very, very big, significant edges and experience. Being the underdog twice, travelling to another country to take on a tough, unbeaten champion when you were the underdog, coming through adversity in a tough fight and winning. And then he fought him in a rematch, knocked him out in 5 rounds. It was like a TKO. So straight away, those are three very, very significant things that Errol Spence hasn't done. Now, that is a big edge in experience, in my humble opinion. Apart from that, Errol Spence has never fought in front of like a big crowd or a crowd with any kind of atmosphere. Kell Brook's gone over he went over like we said to Sean Porter. He's fought like in big atmosphere in the O2. He's fought in Sheffield. He's used to fighting with a lot of pressure in front of a big, energetic, boisterous crowd. Now Errol Spence isn't. He's never done that before. I saw an interview with him saying that he fought. I think I talked about this in my last video. As an amateur, and that's not the same thing. I saw his last fight against Leonard Bundu. It looked like there were about 100 people there. Just sort of sitting around quietly. This is not experience of fighting in a lion's den. So these are quite significant things that Errol Spence has never done. So take away the Sean Porter. Well, not take away, but let's not focus on Sean Porter as if this is the be all and end all of everything, because it isn't. Just because this is that's obviously a much better opponent than anyone that Errol Spence has fought. But he's been through adversity. He's travelled. He's been in much more training camps. He started as well. Let's talk about this record as well. I saw Derek James, talking about it, and I've seen quite a few people now. It's become quite sort of fashionable, quite trendy, going on about how many losses that Kell Brook's opponents have had in the first. Well, hold on a minute. Kell Brook he became professional when he was 18 years old, possibly even 17. I don't know. I think he was 18. Errol Spence, if I'm not mistaken, was 22. Now, I don't need to tell anyone watching this video, presumably, there's quite a big difference between being 18 and 22. Presumably that just didn't occur to people when they're trying to make this comparison as if it's really significant. Now, I'll show you a picture of myself when I was 18, when I was 22. It's quite a big difference. Do you know what I mean? 18, you're basically a kid. Now, Errol Spence was 22 years old. He was in the Olympics. So he started as a man, a young man, but as a man, having had that amateur experience, and then, being pushed a little bit quick. Well, of course he did. He was 22 years old. He wasn't 18. You're talking about people are talking about this. The first person he fought. By the way, yeah, give a shout out here. Very good video I saw. Another American guy called Trav FDY. He made a very good video breaking this down with the record of Kell Brook, talking about and answering this question. Now, obviously, some people will agree with it, some people won't agree with it, but you have to respect the way he researched it, and he really kind of breaks it down, and he puts his case very well. So if you haven't seen that, I suggest you check it out, because he goes into a lot more detail than I'm going to go into it here. But basically, the first person that Kell Brook fought had a load of losses, about 160, 180 even, and about 25 wins or something. Kell Brook's an 18-year-old kid fighting against someone who's 30 odd, who's got ridiculous experience, and you're telling me that's a terrible opponent for a kid. I mean, if you think it's not a great opponent for that 80, fair enough. But it's also fair to say Errol Spence, 22 years old, came back from the Olympics, fought against a novice who had 6 fights, lost 3 of them. You know, is that much more impressive? Is it more impressive at all? Well, we can argue about that. Some people will probably think it is, other people won't. Whatever, it doesn't really matter. But it's not that significant to me that Kell Brook, as a young kid, fought a load of quite experienced opponents, albeit like a few of them at the start, albeit with quite losing records. But for the trainer to really focus on that as if that's kind of significant. I mean, this is like what, like 12 years ago this happened? I mean, since then, Kell Brook has obviously become a man. He's become a lot more experienced, like we talked about in this video. So I don't think that the trainer, because I've seen a couple of things with Derek James. I've seen a couple of videos, a couple of interviews with him. The first one I saw was on Baylor TV. It was a good interview. I liked it. He sounded like he knew what he was talking about. As I said it the other way, there's a few things which I think, yeah, I don't agree with you there, mate. But he seemed like a bit more sensible than he has done since then. And I saw him on another like American, I can't remember. I saw an interview with him there, and he was kind of, to me, he seemed a bit boastful and a bit like he kind of liked the sound of his own voice a bit too much. And I wouldn't say necessarily like deluded, but just that he seemed to have quite a high opinion of his own intelligence and quite a high opinion of his analysis of stuff, to the point where it came across to me quite arrogant and quite, I wouldn't really say deluded, I would just say he's kind of miscalculated and he's underestimating, at least from how it comes across to me, Kell Brook, and he's kind of focusing on certain things and he thinks that's really clever, but I don't know, to me it seems a bit naive and a bit basically irrelevant. I don't really see it as being relevant at all that Kell Brook, as a kid, fought against people with losing records and a lot of experience. He could have fought like someone like who had no experience, 4 fights, won 2, lost 2. What's the difference? Probably would have learned less. So I've seen another thing like Derek James. Now he's talking about Errol Spence sort of knocked out because he was on another thing. I can't remember who this was with either. Talking about knocking out what's the bloke? The bloke who's going to fight Charlo Hatley. Is it Charles Hatley? He was talking to him on the phone, and he's talking about like Errol Spence. He's man down. That's what happened in the sparring. And just kind of, I mean, I was talking. I mean, is there anyone in America that Errol Spence hasn't knocked out in sparring? I mean, I don't know. I just think that he's kind of, to me, he sounds overconfident, and he seems like he's really starting to believe his own hype. Not Errol Spence, I'm talking about the coach and a lot of fans and a lot of the team around him, possibly. I kind of think that they are really starting to believe their own hype. And if this wasn't a video made by like the team, and this wasn't people that are all the fans on YouTube and Facebook and stuff like that, but judging from that press conference, the way they were talking, now if they genuinely believe that Kell Brook doesn't have that much experience, and the only thing that they need to consider or think about is the Sean Porter fight, and nothing else is really relevant, then I think they're in for a rude awakening, really. Yeah, I mean, I've given you my reasons why I think that Kell Brook is much more experienced than Errol Spence. Maybe that won't play a part in the fight. I mean, Errol Spence has definitely got other things in his favour. I'm not saying he doesn't, but in terms of experience, yeah, he's got a lot less experience, and hopefully for me as a Kell Brook fan, that will play a part fight night. But we'll see. But yeah, I mean, that's all I had to say really on that. I just wanted to make that point, talk about the record and talk about his experience, because people are focusing too much on this on the Sean Porter thing, because we've never heard of this person and we don't really know. We've never looked into this, so that's irrelevant. It doesn't exist because it's not something that I've personally seen or heard of. So yeah, I'd be careful of that kind of thinking personally. But yeah, anyway, let me know what you think about it. That's my opinion. Thank you very much for watching.